Stars shimmered silently above the battlefield. Space was calm. The planet Geronine spun slowly below, its surface covered in smoke and fire. The final battle against the insectoid Vakari swarm was about to end. The humans and their allies, the Grolax, stood side by side. Together, they had fought for months, losing soldiers, ships, and worlds. But now, it was almost over. The last of the Vakari hives had fallen. Their queen was dead. Their war machines destroyed. Victory was within reach. Captain Elias Reyes stood on the bridge of the Valkyrie's Claw, a mid-sized human warship with heavy guns and fast engines. He looked out the wide viewport at the wreckage floating in space. Twisted metal. Broken ships. Some human, some Valkyrie. All lifeless. He exhaled slowly. "It's over," he whispered. Behind him, his crew cheered. Some hugged each other. Others wept silently. Reyes didn't stop them. They had earned it. They had survived hell. A message came through the main screen. It was from General Vohar, the Grolic commander. His green-scaled face looked tired but calm. "Well fought, Captain Reyes," the alien said in a deep voice. "You humans are stronger than we expected. This war would have been lost without you." Reyes nodded. "We made a good team, General. Now let's bring our soldiers home." Vohar gave a slow nod, and his image vanished. The Valkyrie's Claw drifted beside two Grolic battleships. On the other side of the formation, more human ships hovered. The joint fleet was getting ready to jump to hyperspace. It would go home, rest, rebuild. Reyes turned to his pilot. "Begin warm-up for the hyperspace drive. We'll jump in 5 minutes." But before the pilot could respond, the ship shook. A sharp, violent rumble tore through the hull. "Sir," someone shouted, "we're hit." Reyes froze. "What do you mean hit? The Vakari are gone?" "Well, sir," the sensor officer yelled. "It's the Grolax. They've opened fire." Another blast slammed into the ship. Lights flickered. Sparks flew from a control panel. An explosion echoed from the rear of the ship. "Shields down to 40%. The tech screamed. Reyes grabbed the edge of the command console. "Fire back. Full power. Target those Grolax ships." "We're outnumbered," someone cried. "We were side by side. They're tearing through us." Reyes looked at the screen. Grolax ships that had just fought alongside them were now turning their weapons on the human fleet. Bright blue beams lanced across space, striking human cruisers, shredding hulls, vaporizing engines. Explosions lit up the void. The betrayal was complete. A voice crackled over the comms. It was Admiral Stone from the human flagship pillar of strength. "All units. This is not a drill. The Grolax have betrayed us. Do not hold back. Fight your way out. Fall back to safe space." "Repeat, fall back." The message ended in static. A second later, the pillar of strength vanished in a massive fireball. Gone. Reyes clenched his fists. "Divert all power to engines." He shouted, "We're not dying here." A new explosion rocked the hull. "We've lost Deck 7, someone shouted. "Atmosphere breach." Reyes saw the faces of his crew. Some were bleeding, some were shaking. All were terrified. Trusted him. They needed him. He had no choice but to lead. "Plot a course for the rift passage," he ordered. "The wormhole should still be stable." The pilot hesitated. "Sir, it's unstable. Barely held open." "I don't care," Reyes snapped. "It's our only chance. Do it." Outside, more human ships exploded. The Grolax kept firing. Their betrayal was full. They weren't just attacking. They were trying to erase the humans completely. "Have incoming boarding pods," shouted the security chief. Reyes pulled his pistol. "All troops prepare to repel boarders. Hold the ship at all costs." In the lower decks, the clanging of metal echoed as Grolic shock troops burst through the hall. Blasters fired. Screams followed. The corridors filled with smoke and death. In the engine room, Chief Engineer Marla Haynes fought to keep the core. From overheating, flames licked the walls. Panels burst open. She coughed as she yelled, "Give me power now, or we're dead." Reyes's voice came over the intercom. "Marla, We're jumping whether the drive holds or not. She gritted her teeth and slammed her hand on the emergency override. Then God help us all. Up on the bridge, the pilot yelled. We're aligned. The rift passage is opening, but it's tearing apart. Punch it, Reyes roared. The ship lunged forward. A blinding tunnel of white and purple light opened in front of them. The rift passage, a wormhole barely holding together, welcomed them with violent force. As the Valkyrie's claw entered, the ship shook like it was being ripped apart. Metal groaned. Hull plates bent. Lights shattered, then dashed silence. Stars reappeared outside the viewport. The crew looked around, breathing hard, coughing. They had made it out, but the price was high. Half the ship was wrecked. Many were dead. Blood stained the floors. Smoke rose. From the walls, Reyes dropped into his chair, sweat running down his face. Status report. The pilot's voice trembled. We're in unmarked space. The Grolax. They didn't follow. Another voice, Medical Officer Quint, spoke softly. Captain, there's something you need to see. Reyes followed her down the corridor, past wounded soldiers and damaged halls. She led him to the body of a dead Grolak. He wore human armor disguised. Reyes frowned. He was on our ship. Quinn nodded. He had a hidden blade. Killed 3 engineers before someone stopped him. Reyes stared at the corpse. The betrayal had started before the battle even ended. The Grolax had planned this. Infiltration. Sabotage. Assassins. It wasn't a mistake. It was a trap. Back on the bridge, Reyes called a secure channel. This is Captain Reyes of the Valkyrie's Claw. If anyone hears this, Earth, Marzeni outpost, we were betrayed by the Grolax. They turned on us mid-battle. The fleet. Gone. We barely escaped. The alliance is broken. Repeat, the Grolax have betrayed humanity. It ended the transmission. For a moment, no one spoke. Then Reyes stood tall. They thought they could wipe us out, he said. They failed. We'll reach Earth. We'll warn them. And then... He looked out at the stars. We take everything they own. The silence. In the bridge was broken only by the hum of failing engines and the heartbeat of vengeance growing stronger in every human soul. A sharp alarm rang through the halls of the Valkyrie's Claw. Smoke still clung to the ceilings. Metal panels sparked. Every step echoed with the sound of pain, of fear, and of the ship barely holding together. Captain Elias Reyes sat in silence. On the command chair, watching the cracked screen in front of him. Behind him, crew members moved fast, putting out fires, carrying the wounded, and repairing systems that were never meant to survive a full Grolak ambush. Casualty report, Reyes said. His XO Lieutenant Arden turned with a pale face. Dead, 43 wounded. Engines holding at 20%. Shields are fried. Reyes took a breath. It wasn't good, but they were alive. That mattered more than anything right now. Any contact from other human ships, he asked. Negative, Arden replied. No signals, just static. That meant only one thing: they were alone. Reyes leaned forward. Send out a coded distress beacon. Short range only, no long range signals. We don't want to be found, not yet. The wormhole they had jumped through, Rift Passage 09 Delta, was old and unstable. It wasn't even on most star maps anymore. Most thought it had collapsed a decade ago. But Reyes had taken a gamble, and it had saved them. Barely now, they floated somewhere in deep space. No known colonies. No nearby systems. Just the stars and the scars they carried, down in the lower decks. Chief Engineer Marla Haynes was busy trying to keep the ship from falling apart. Her hands were burned. Her jumpsuit was torn. She didn't stop working. Stabilize the core, she barked. And seal those damn coolant leaks before we all cook alive. Our team obeyed without question. She was one of the few people left who knew how to keep the Claw breathing as the crew patched holes and restored air. Something strange happened. The lights flickered. A strange noise echoed through the halls. Not the sound of fire. Not an engine. Something else clink. Clink. Like metal boots walking where no one should be. Security Officer Jensen was the first to notice. He moved slowly through Deck 3, blaster. Ready? His footsteps were quiet. Too quiet, then he saw a tread blood smeared on the wall. He raised his weapon and whispered, "This is Jensen. I've got signs of movement on deck 3. Possible boarders. Repeat, possible enemy aboard." Reyes heard it through the comms and stood up instantly. "Lock down the deck," he ordered. "All squads, move to intercept. No one moves alone." It was already too late. Screams echoed from the lower levels. A Grolak assassin burst out of a maintenance shaft. It was dressed in black armor, its skin painted to blend in with the shadows. It moved fast like a ghost with claws. 2 crewmen fell before they could fire. Reyes grabbed a sidearm and ran to the lift. "Marla, they're inside. Cut off access to engineering." "Already doing it," she yelled. "But they're in. Deep." The Grolak assassin slashed its way toward the engine core. Its mission was clear: disable the ship. Kill the heart. Leave no escape. But Reyes was faster. He met the creature just outside the core chamber. A blast from his pistol hit it in the chest, but it kept coming. It tackled him to the floor, fought back, dodging its blade, punching with everything he had. The Grolak hissed, raising its blade, and then bang. Marla stood in the doorway, holding a rifle. The Grolak fell backward, lifeless. Reyes sat up, breathing hard. "Remind me to never argue with you again." Marla smirked. "You couldn't win even if you tried." Back on the bridge, the damage. Reports kept coming in, but the assassin's death brought new fear. "If there was one," Reyes said, "there could be more." Arden nodded grimly. "They planned this, Captain. They planted them on board before the betrayal even started. That meant it wasn't just betrayal, it was infiltration. The Grolaks had been planning this for months. Suddenly the sensors beeped. "Unidentified ship detected," the officer said. Reyes turned. "Human? Not sure. It's approaching slowly." Stealth mode. Could be Grolak. Reyes stared at the screen. One ship, no ID, but it was too slow for a Grolak hunter. "Open." "A channel." No reply. "Try again." Nothing. Then suddenly a voice crackled through. "This is Commander Lin of the HSS Iron Fang. If anyone's out there, respond." Reyes's heart jumped. Iron Fang. "This is Captain Reyes of the Valkyrie's Claw. We survived the betrayal." Voice sounded relieved. "We barely made it. 3 of our escort ships were destroyed before we jumped. The rest are gone." "How many of you made it?" Reyes asked. "Just us," Lin said quietly. Reyes exhaled. "That made 2 ships. 2 survivors from a whole fleet." Lin continued. "We were about to head back to Earth. We figured someone had to warn them." "What?" "Then we go together," Reyes said. "The Grolaks won't stop with 1 fleet. This was a war move, not a mistake." Arden turned to him. "Sir, we don't have enough power for a jump to Sol. We'd need time to reroute energy. Maybe even mine fuel from a nearby belt." Reyes clenched his jaw. "Then we do it. We'll hide. We'll repair. And then we bring the warning home." And in the back of his mind, he knew something else. This wasn't over. Not even close. The betrayal had failed. Now came the part the Grolaks didn't plan for. Human revenge. The Valkyries. Claw and Iron Fang began silent repairs, hidden in the shadow of a dead moon. They were broken, scarred, but alive. And soon they would return, not as allies, but as reapers. The moon was cold and dead. No sunlight reached its surface. Just darkness, rock, and silence, and hidden behind it. 2 wounded ships floated like ghosts, the Valkyrie's Claw and the Iron Fang. Both were barely alive, their hulls scorched, their engines limping. They had escaped the betrayal, but escape wasn't enough. Now they needed fuel, repairs, and answers. Captain Reyes stood in the Claw's war room, staring at a dim holographic map. He looked older now, not in age, but in spirit. His eyes were tired, his voice lower. Heavier Commander Lin's face appeared in the holoscreen. She was calm, sharp-eyed, and carried the weight of command like iron. "We have enough fuel for 1 jump," she said. "Maybe 2, if we strip every reserve tank. But after that, we're dead in the water." Reyes nodded. "I know a place."
At
Lin raised an eyebrow. Please don't say Earth. No, Reyes said. Better hidden. He tapped a few keys and brought up a set of old faded coordinates. Sable Drift, System 93 Zeta. Lynn frowned. That's a graveyard. Exactly, Reyes said. A forgotten war zone from the Colonial Rebellion. Dozens of ships went down there, and more importantly, supply caches, abandoned, sealed, and still powered. At least they were 10 years ago. Lynn leaned forward. You think there's still fuel? I know there is. She studied him. And the risk? He didn't hesitate. High. Lynn smiled faintly. Good. I was getting bored. 12 hours later, both ships entered the Sable Drift. The system was unlike any other. Dead suns. Broken asteroids.
Attic storms that danced.
Across the stars, and recugentless wreckage. Ships, satellites, drones, escape pods. All drifting forever. Trapped in gravity wells and forgotten battles. It was like flying through a graveyard, and the dead watched from every shadow. The claw pushed forward slowly. Sensors on full sweep. Lights flickered as magnetic storms scraped across their shields. This place gives me the creeps, Arden muttered. Reyes didn't reply. He was focused on the signals. Then he saw it. A large cargo vessel, torn in half, floating near a cracked asteroid. This is it, he said. That's the Kerrigan's Mercy. She was a mobile fuel depot. We find her tanks, we live another day. Lynn's voice came through the comms. We'll cover you from here. You take a team and go in. But if anything moves, I'll blow it. To hell, Reyes smiled. That's why I like you, Lynn. She didn't smile back. Reyes suited up. He took a small boarding crew, 5 soldiers, Marla, and a drone operator named Pike. They flew over in a shuttle, slowly approaching the shattered cargo ship. Its hull was scarred, its back half gone. The front section still looked sealed, cold. Silent as they landed on the broken deck, the gravity was barely working. They moved carefully, their boots clanging on metal as their lights cut through the dark. Inside, it was a tomb. Frozen bodies floated in the hull's former crew who had died long ago. No signs of battle, just decompression. The air had left, and so had life. Reyes kept moving. Marla, find the tanks. Pike, get those doors open. They pushed deeper into the ship. The shadows grew longer. Everything was quiet. Too quiet. Suddenly, dash movement. The drone flashed a warning. Motion detected. Pike shouted. Behind us. The team turned. But nothing was there. Just floating debris. Reyes narrowed his eyes. Keep moving. Don't fall behind. They found the fuel tanks near the core 3 were still sealed, untouched. Marla tapped her scanner. Still full? These can keep both ships running for a month. Pike whistled. Jackpot. Then clong. A door slammed shut behind them. Lights went red. Trap, Reyes shouted. Weapons out now. From the shadows, shapes began to move. But not Grolax. Machines, old war drones. Human-made. Rusted. Half-broken, but still active. Their eyes glowed red. Their weapons charged. They're running automated defense protocols, Pike shouted. They think we're scavengers. Because we are, Marla yelled. Blaster fire lit the room. One drone exploded. Another spun and fired, hitting one of Reyes' soldiers in the leg. He went down hard. Retreat to the core, Reyes ordered. Marla, hack those systems now. I'm trying, she screamed. Sparks flew from her pad. The team ducked behind crates. The drones moved like ghosts, fast but glitching. One turned sideways and exploded without being touched. These things are ancient and buggy, Pike shouted. They're going crazy. Reyes tossed a grenade. It bounced once, twice, then blasted 2 drones into scrap. Marla finally shouted, Override engaged. The drones froze, then dropped. Dead, Reyes panted. Smoke filled the room. His crew was bruised, bloody but alive. Let's take the fuel. And get out before something worse wakes up. Back on the claw, the fuel was loaded quickly. Systems lit up. Engines roared. Shields came back online. They were alive again. But something else happened. As Marla searched the Kerrigan's Mercy's logs, she found a sealed file. She opened it and froze. "What is it?" Reyes asked. She turned slowly. "This ship wasn't." "Abandoned." Reyes frowned. "What do you mean?" Marla pointed at the screen. "It was ordered to stay here. By High Command. They used this place to hide something. Something they didn't want anyone to find." Reyes stared at the file. Inside were coordinates. Deep inside the sable drift, marked Project Ghostfire. Lynn's voice crackled through. "The Cums? You guys okay?" Reyes replied slowly. "We're better than okay. We found fuel. We found data. And maybe." He looked at the file again. "Maybe something that can change the whole war." The distance inside the asteroid field, something stirred. A deep signal. Weak, ancient, but alive. A machine buried, waiting to be awakened. The Valkyrie's claw floated in silence again, repaired, fueled, but now surrounded by something heavier than metal. Questions. Captain Reyes stood in the war room, staring at the blinking file recovered from the Kerrigan's Mercy. "Project Ghostfire. It's encrypted," said Marla. "Old Earth code. Military black level. This isn't just some research log. It's buried for a reason." Reyes leaned in. "Then we dig it up." She hesitated. "It's risky. I mean, whatever this is. They didn't just forget it. They wanted it lost, Commander." Lynn joined the call from the Iron Fang, her face lit by blue screen glow. "We're in enemy space. Our fleets are gone. If Earth is hiding something that can help us win this war, then I say we dig," she said flatly. Reyes nodded.
Do it.
Marla typed fast, sweat beading on her forehead as old firewalls fought her every step. Then, clicked up. The file opened, a silent video began to play. The feed was old, grainy. Human officers in dark uniforms stood inside a metal chamber. Behind them, something. Covered with a heavy black sheet, a voice spoke, cold, calm, emotionless. "This is Project Ghostfire. Date: 2189. Recovered artifact from pre-human ruins on planet D17. Designation: Titan Grave." The sheet was pulled back. Underneath was a machine. No, not a machine. Something older, bigger. It had curves like bone, but metal darker than any alloy Reyes had ever seen. Symbols were etched across its surface in glowing red. The voice continued. "Not made by humans. Not made by known alien species. Estimated age? Over 1 million years. Found buried beneath 5 kilometers of volcanic glass." Another clip showed the artifact activating. Light surged. Waves pulsed out. Then the room went dark. Screams, blood, static. The recording ended. No one spoke for a long moment. Reyes whispered, "What the hell was that?" Marla checked the file. "It's a control node. Weapon system interface. Something built to connect with other machines. And worse, it's still online." Commander Lynn's voice dropped. "Wait, you said this was hidden in the drift?" Marla nodded. "Yeah, deep. Past the third ring. Near a dead star called Black Echo." Lynn muttered, "I've heard that name. Once, from a Grolok prisoner. Said they sent scouts into the drift years ago. None came back. Called it the grave of gods." Reyes stood straight. "We're going to find it." Marla's eyes widened. "Are you serious?" "We don't even know what it does." Reyes's voice was firm. "The Grolaks turned on us. Destroyed our fleet. Murdered our diplomats mid-speech. Can't win this war. The old way." He stepped closer to the screen. "If this thing gives us even a chance to turn the tide, then we're taking it." The journey to Black Echo took 9 hours. Asteroids thicker than dust clouds surrounded the route. They moved like they were alive. Strange radiation pulsed from the dead star at the centrum, blackened, pulsing like a heartbeat. The Claw led the way, with the Iron Fang behind. Inside, the crew sat on edge. Everyone could feel it, like the air was heavier, like something was watching from far away. Then they saw it, deep in the drift, buried inside a broken moon. The object, it, was massive, bigger than any human ship. Half buried under the rock, like something had grown around it instead of crashed into it. The surface shimmered with unknown energy. "Is that it?" Lynn whispered. Reyes nodded. "Scan it." The readings were impossible. No known energy type, no radiation signature, no life. But something pulsed. Inside, we're not the first ones. "Here," Marla said. She pointed to faint debris fields, pieces of ships. Not human, not Grolok. Shredded clean. "Looks like something tried to reach it," Arden said. "Didn't make it back." Reyes turned to his team. "Then we do this smart, no full boarding, just a probe. Scan the interior.
Oh.
Look for control points." The probe launched. It flew into a narrow opening near the base of the buried structure. The tunnel was curved, smooth, like it had been carved by light instead of tools. Inside, the walls glowed faintly. Symbols pulsed then changed. Marla gasped. "It's responding to the probe. It knows we're here." Reyes leaned closer. "What's it showing us?" The probe reached a central chamber. There, in the middle of the room, floated a sphere, dark, perfect, surrounded by metal tendrils and lightning arcs that didn't make sense. Marla whispered. "It's a command core, the thing the video showed. This is the full system." Then the probe shook. The video glitched sparks the flash. The feed went dead. "No signal," Pike said. "It's gone." Marla stared at her screen. Before the feed cut, something pinged us. A message, not text, not sound, just data. Reyes asked, "What kind of data?" She answered with a shaking voice. "Our ship schematics, our crew list, our DNA profiles." Arden backed away from the screen. It read us. The silence was heavy. Then on the main screen words appeared. Not from human code, not from any language known, but somehow they understood. "You came late, but you came. We waited. Awakening begins." Across the asteroid field, power surged all around. The wreckage began to move. Dead ships, long-forgotten drones, pieces of lost technology activating. Reyes stepped back. What did we just wake up? Somewhere deep beneath the moon's surface, something old opened its eyes, and for the first time in a million years, it remembered war. The wreckage began to move. It started slow, just a flicker in the dark. A dead satellite rotated. A long-dead drone twitched. Then, one by one, shattered ships powered on, blinking with ancient alien light. Reyes stared from the bridge of the Valkyrie's claw, hands tight around the edge of the console. "I don't like this," Arden muttered. "I really, really don't like this." Marla's voice shook. "These wrecks, they're not ours. And they're not Grolak. I don't recognize anything in this system." The massive screen flashed again. The alien text returned. This time, translated automatically, "You have touched the core. The ghost fire wakes. Commander." Lynn's voice came through the comms. She sounded tight and calm, but you could hear the tension behind it. "Reyes, do we run?" He didn't answer. Right away, outside the ship, nearby cruiser that had drifted dead for centuries, suddenly flared to life, its engines roaring, its weapons powering up. The hull turned, slowly, purposefully. It locked onto the claw, shields up. Reyes barked, "Weapons live. Get us out of this graveyard." The enemy ship fired. A white-hot beam shot past their hull, missing by meters. The shockwaves shook. The decks brace. Arden shouted as sparks flew from a console. Lynn's ship, the Iron Fang, looped around, returning fire. Their plasma cannons slammed into the alien cruiser, but it didn't fall. It barely shook. "This thing's armor is like solid neutronium," Lynn growled. "I need better angles." More wrecks lit up around them, ships shaped like daggers, spears, and spinning orbs. Some looked like flying cities, others like machines. Pulled straight out of nightmares, all of them. Active now. Marla's voice cracked through the noise. "I made a mistake," she said. This whole system is a network. The artifact we pinged it's a central brain. The dead machines were just sleeping, waiting for a command. Reyes narrowed his eyes, and we gave it one. Exactly, she said. By scanning it, by probing it, we didn't just wake it, we gave it permission. Another blast rocked the ship. The lights flickered. Jump drives? Reyes asked. Pike replied, still charging, 20 seconds. That might be too long, Lynn snapped overcomes. They're closing in fast. Reyes knew the odds. He looked around the bridge. His crew didn't need to be told what was coming. He saw it in his eyes. So he gave the only order that mattered. Marla, can we talk to it? She blinked. What? Whatever this thing is, it responded to our tech. Can we speak to it? Marla's fingers flew over her console. Maybe, if I run a direct interface through the ship's neural relay. Do it, Len barked in. What are you trying to do, Reyes? Not die in the next 10 seconds? Marla hit the final key. A jolt of energy surged through the ship. The lights went blue. The comms buzzed with static hand. Then a voice came through. Not a voice from a throat, but one built from pulses and patterns. Cold, mechanical, ancient, you. Are human? Reyes replied. Yes, we woke you. No, you came from the outside. You breathe chaos. You bleed war. Reyes growled. So do you. Correct. We were made for war. You are made for that makes you acceptable. Marla's eyes went wide. It's comparing us to itself. We waited for orders. You gave a signal. That signal is now our purpose. Reyes took a breath. Can you help us destroy the Grolax? There was a pause, and the voice said, Yes. We exist to fight. You will. Point us. We will burn for you. And just like that, the ships around them stopped attacking. Reyes looked at Marla. She was pale. Did we just make them our army? She nodded slowly. I think we did. Lynn came back on the comms. I don't believe it. They stopped firing. What did you say? Reyes replied. I made a deal with the devil. An hour later, both human ships sat in orbit near the core site. The awakened fleet now floated in perfect formation, silent, waiting. There were over 60 vessels, some the size of carriers. Others looked like mobile planets. Marla studied the signal output. They're ancient. Their minds aren't AI. They're something else. But they're following us now. They've recognized you as their commander. Reyes laughed, once bitter. Dark. And how do we command them? She showed him the interface, single command line. Select target. Reyes stared at it. Lynn's voice crackled in. I know where you're going with this, Reyes, and I agree. The Grolax betrayed us, he said coldly. They think we're broken. Weak, on the run. He turned to Marla. Send the command. She typed, Target, Grolin Prime, the alien. Fleet shuddered. Their lights grew brighter. In unison, they turned toward the stars-toward Grolak.
Space.
And began to move. Faster than human ships. More deadly than any fleet Earth had ever known. The humans had woken something older than war. Itself, and now, was going to end theirs with fire. The stars were quiet, only for a moment. Then they moved. Thousands of alien warships, long buried, long dead, were now fully alive and flying faster than any human I could track. The sky near the black ecosystem twisted with engine, burns and impossible energy trails. And at the heart of the formation, the human ships followed like war shepherds leading monsters on a leash. Commander Lin sat on the bridge of the Iron Fang, watching as the enemy fleet, her new fleet, cut across space like a god's blade. This doesn't feel real, she whispered. Reyes stood on his own bridge, silent, as the command interface showed their progress. Every Grolak world within 50 light years was now flagged and glowing red. Marla stared at the data flooding her screen. Their power is... I don't have words. Energy output from just one of these ships equals a Grolak dreadnought. And we have over 60. Arden leaned back in his chair, arms crossed, voice grim. We're not just fighting back now. We're about to wipe them out. They struck the first Grolak world at dawn. The planet was called Dress, a fortified industrial hub with shielded cities, orbital platforms, anti-fleet cannons designed to fight the strongest. Enemy forces. None of it mattered. The awakened fleet didn't slow down. A single vessel, shaped like a black spear, fired. A beam that sliced through the planet's upper defense ring. The platform shattered like glass. For other ships launched energy. Pulses into the planet's sky-white arcs of light that folded space itself. The result was immediate. The planet's crust-cracked cities broke apart. Mountains fell sideways. Grolak ships scrambled to escape only to be ripped apart by invisible waves. Within 10 minutes, Droshka was no longer on any star map. Just a smoking ring of dust. Rhea stared at the aftermath, hands trembling on the console. "We did that," he said. "We unleashed that." Marla whispered, "They're not just weapons, Reyes. They're punishment. They weren't made for war. They were made to end civilizations." Lynn came over the coms. "We just did what the Grolaks did to us. But bigger. Harder," Reyes said. "Not just that. We warned them." He opened a channel-wide band every frequency. The message would reach every Grolak here, every world, every leader. "This is Captain Elias Reyes of Earth's Warfleet. You betrayed our alliance. You murdered our diplomats. You killed our civilians in cold blood." His voice sharpened like a blade. "You thought we were broken? Weak. Alone." Pause. "You were wrong." He nodded to Marla. She activated the next command. "Target Grolak forward, Armada." The Grolak fleet was strong, built over centuries. Carriers, destroyers, stealth cruisers, the best warships in their empire. They didn't get the chance to fight. The awakened ships hit them before their jump. Drives could even spin up. One Grolak commander, High Admiral Thresh Kuron, screamed orders as his bridge shattered under pressure. Something a drone made of living metal phased through his hull, ripped through his command center, and left a trail of glowing ash by the time his backup fleet arrived. There was no one left to save. The Grolak Armada, 40 years of military. Power was gone in 20 minutes. And still, the ancient ships flew forward, unstoppable, obedient, silent. And burning back on the Valkyrie's claw, Reyes paced. "They follow orders. But for how long?" he asked. Marla looked at him. "They respond to you now? But what happens when they don't need you anymore?" Reyes didn't answer. The truth sat heavy in his mind. These weren't tools. These were ancient war gods, buried, forgotten, bound to a system no one remembered. And now they were awake because of him, because of Earth, and because humanity was just angry enough to call them that night. Reyes recorded another message, a warning to the entire galaxy. "This is not a message of peace," he said. "This is not a call for allies. Earth trusted the Grolaks, and they stabbed us in the back. So we unleashed something older than your history, something stronger than your weapons." He stared into the camera. "If you betray us, this is what comes. For you!" The camera panned to space outside, where a black spear-shaped ship hovered above the remains of a burning Grolak. Moon, silent, waiting. Reyes ended the broadcast and gave the next target. Grolak, Prime, the heart of the Empire, the place where the betrayal started. The sky over Grolak Prime turned black not from nightfall, but from shadows. The ancient fleet had arrived. 60 alien warships, silent, possible, alive with power that had slept for eons, now hovered above the Grolak homeworld. The air trembled. The planet's orbit warped slightly under the mass. Of the ships down below, the Grolak Council screamed in panic. Her bunkers were deep, their defenses strong. But none of it mattered, because they had seen what happened to their colonies. They had watched their armadas vanish. And now, the humans had brought something else. Reyes stood on the bridge of the Valkyrie's Claw, staring at the live feed. The fleet was holding, waiting. "They want your order," Marla said. Her voice was quiet, heavy. He didn't speak right away. Commander Lin's face appeared on the coms. "We've intercepted their calls. Grolak citizens are trying to flee the cities. Evac shuttles are packed. Some military units are trying to resist, but they don't stand a chance. Rhea said nothing. They turned on us, Lynn said after. A pause. They signed their own fate. Reyes closed his eyes. Memories came back. Human colonies burning. Civilian ships torn apart in cold space. Allies turned into executioners. He opened his eyes. Send the signal. Marla's hands hovered. Over the console? This will end their empire. Exactly. She pressed the command target Grolac Prime. Authorization. Right. The ancient fleet moved like one being, the largest shippa. City-sized diamond of spinning plates shifted into position. Its hull opened, revealing a sphere of bright pulsing. Energy, reality bent around it. Light curved. Gravity cracked. Then the rest joined in. Weapons that had no names. Powered by energy that defied science. They lit up, and they fired. It didn't look like explosions. It looked like the planet was unraveling. The surface. Admiral Tashfer watched the sky break open. He had been alive for 300 years. Had fought dozens of wars. Had personally signed the betrayal order against Earth. Now he stood in his bunker, watching fire rain down from the heavens, not red, not orange, but white and blue and black dot. Whole continents split apart in seconds. Cities vanished before the sound reached them. The sky glowed with a second sun, the energy of a forgotten age. Older than the Grolacs themselves, he whispered one word before the end. Humans. Then everything went white. Above the shattered world, Reyes watched silently. Grolac Prime is gone. Not just destroyed, wiped clean. No buildings, no survivors, no empire. Signal cut, Marla confirmed. Mission complete, Arden added. We've taken everything they owned. No, Reyes said. Not yet. Everyone looked at him. He walked to the central console and tapped the ancient interface. It flickered with living code. Like light trapped in a storm, Marla stepped forward. What are you doing? We still don't know what they are, Reyes said, or why they obey. You're not thinking of, I want to talk to them. He hit a new key. Request. Intelligence contact. The screen pulsed. Then the lights dimmed. The temperature dropped. The bridge screens all turned black, except for one word. Why do you fight? Reyes blinked. The voice wasn't a sound. It was pressure. Emotion. Force, he answered. Because they betrayed us. Because they killed people. Who trusted them? The voice returned. And now they are gone. Do you feel balance? Reyes didn't respond. Balance. That wasn't what this was about, was it? He looked out at the dark stars. No, I feel more questions than ask. He stepped closer to the interface. What are you? We are the end. He frowned. The end of what? Trust, of betrayal, of war. We were built to answer hate with. Erasure. By who? Reyes asked. There was a pause. Then, those who no longer exist. Marla whispered. They were made by a dead civilization, a final weapon. Reyes nodded slowly. And now we command them. Temporarily. That word hung heavy in the air. Marla's eyes widened. Wait, temporarily? Reyes stared at the screen. Explain. Your signal matches the old design. Your hate echoes the old masters. But you are not them. Reyes clenched his jaw. So what happens when you realize we're not? The screen pulsed one more time. We watch, we follow. For now, then the interface went. Dark silence filled the bridge. No one moved. Finally, Lynn's voice came in. What just happened? Reyes spoke slowly. They're still with us. But there, thinking, watching. Arden whispered, we gave orders to gods of war. And now they're wondering if we deserve to be gods too. Reyes looked down at the wreckage of Grolac Prime, the ashes of betrayal. No, he said, we're not gods. He turned away. We're just human. In the days that followed, the galaxy watched. The human warfleet returned, not with weapons, but with survivors. Grolac space was no longer Grolac. It was quiet, Empty, claimed. The ancient fleet floated above the ruins, still. For now, Reyes sent one final message. We came in peace. We were betrayed. Now we hold the keys to something ancient and terrible. We do not seek war. But we will never be betrayed again. The galaxy understood the message, loud and clear. No more betrayals. No more weakness. Earth had survived, and now Earth led. The galaxy held its breath. The ancient fleet, those silent titans of forgotten war, still hovered across Grolok space. Unmoving, watching, no one dared approach, no one dared speak. And the humans, they had stopped fighting. But they had not stopped. Winning planet after planet once under Grolok rule, now flew the human banner, not by force, not by conquest, but by fear. The kind of fear that roots itself in legend. They had seen what Reyes had unleashed. Now the galaxy whispered his name, Reyes, the Awakener, the human who called the end. But Reyes himself, he didn't feel powerful. He felt watched. Because every night aboard the Valkyrie's claw, same signal would ping his console. We are still here, and he knew what it meant. They were waiting. The command team gathered in the war room, Marla. Laid out the reports. No more Grolok survivors found. Resistance is zero. Their government, their military, their colonies, it's all over. Reyes nodded. Status of the ancient fleet? Arden looked nervous. They're drifting, but they respond to our system pings. Still no independent movement? Any more contact? Marla shook her head. Not since the last message. But they're scanning U.S. studying. They're learning faster than we expected. Commander Lin leaned forward. Sir, we used them. To win, but if they decide we're not worthy? She let the silence speak the rest. Reyes. Understood. The fleet had given them victory. But it was never really theirs. 2 days later, the signal changed. It didn't come in as text. It came as a vision. Every human in command saw the same thing. A battlefield. It's full of stars burning and dying, planets cracking, fleets dissolving into light. At the center, the ancient ships fighting for a race now long extinct. And then they stopped. They buried themselves in black space, waiting for new orders, waiting for someone angry enough, hurt enough. To call them again, that's when the voice returned. You are like them. You remember pain. You do not forgive, Reyes. Answered aloud, we remember everything. We're human. Yes, that is why we listened. He felt his chest tighten. And now, we must sleep again, until we are needed. Reyes stepped back. No, he said. We could rebuild the galaxy. We could protect Earth. What if they come for us again? You will stand on your own. Why help us at all? The response came slow. Because you remembered what was done to you. So did we. The lights flickered. The ships outside began to move not toward battle, toward the edge of known space. They were leaving, not with engines, not with jump drives. They simply vanished one by one, fading into thin air, slipping between stars like ghosts, until only one remained. The black spear-shaped ship, the first one Reyes had seen. The one that had answered his call, it spoke only to him now. Remember, this wrath is powerful, but memory, stronger. Then it too vanished, and the stars were quiet again. The silence after the storm felt unreal. Human ships began rescue missions. They rebuilt outposts. Colonists returned to homes once thought lost forever. No one challenged them. Now, not because of force, but because of fear. Fear of what might happen if Earth was ever betrayed again. No. More alliances based on weakness. No more councils pretending. To care. Earth had paid in blood and answered with fire. Now Earth would lead alone. 6 months later, Rhea stood on a peaceful colony world, a small town rebuilt from ruins. Children played. Traders sold alien fruit. The war felt far away, but Reyes never forgot. Marla stood beside him, looking at the sky. They could come back, she said. He nodded. If someone else does to us what the Grolax did, they'll return. Should we be afraid of that, Reyes? Thought a long time before answering no. Not afraid, just ready. She smiled faintly. You really believe they trusted us? No, he said. They didn't trust us. They saw us for what we were. Marla raised a brow. And what's that? Reyes looked at the stars, the ones who never forget. Elsewhere in the galaxy, rumors spread that the humans had awakened. A sleeping god, that entire star systems had vanished in fire, that Earth had become something more than just another species, not conquerors, not tyrants, but something far scarier, victims who survived, and if anyone ever turned on them again, well now, the galaxy knew how that story ended.